At the beginning of the movie, we see a girl named Sarah, who suffers from autism, which is why her father takes her to the hospital to receive treatment. The doctors are performing a CT scan, but suddenly Sarah opens her eyes and begins to scream. As this happens, the lights in the room start flickering, and no one understands what is happening. Ben asks them to stop the scan and takes Sarah out of there. During this, Sarah repeatedly says that she wants a red crayon. Ben gives her one to calm her down, after which Sarah begins to make a strange drawing. Ben feels that the doctor is not treating Sarah properly and thinks about taking her away from there. At that moment, an elderly man named Tobias approaches Sarah and whispers something in her ear, after which she drops the crayon and once again repeats that she wants a red crayon. During the night, Sarah's condition worsens, and Ben decides to take her to another hospital. Emily arrives and tries to convince him not to do it, but Ben ignores her and heads toward the elevator. Emily accompanies them, and a security guard and the elderly man Tobias also get into the elevator. As the elevator descends, it suddenly stops halfway, which makes everyone nervous. Tobias's health deteriorates, and Emily tries to help him while the security guard calls for emergency assistance. However, instead of receiving a response, he only hears his own voice echoed back. Suddenly, Tobias recovers, and the elevator starts working again, stopping on the 6th floor. When they get out, they find no one there, which surprises everyone. They hear a sound, and Rick goes into a room where he finds a photocopier, which turns off as soon as he touches it. Outside, Emily notices some photocopies on the floor, on which she sees the image of a strange creature. Everyone begins searching for an exit, and during this time they hear another voice. When they investigate, they find a girl in a wheelchair. Emily approaches to check on her, but discovers that she is dead and that someone has torn out her eyes, which terrifies everyone. Tobias begins to behave strangely and says that, except for him, everyone is looking at them. Then everyone leaves the room, and Sarah looks back at the dead girl's body and begins to draw her. After a while, they reach a staircase and begin to go down until they hear a sound coming from below. Rick looks to check, and suddenly someone attacks him, so they go up to the 5th floor. During this time, Sarah notices something behind them. Everyone reaches the information desk and sees on the security cameras that the hospital is completely empty. Surprised, they notice 2 men on the 3rd floor and think that they might also be trapped like them. They decide to go help them, but Ben realizes that Sarah is missing, which worries everyone. Tobias points to a room where they find Sarah, although no one understands how she got there. Later on, they see a television where the news broadcast is frozen at a specific time. Suddenly, everyone's phones begin to ring. Sarah and Tobias cover their ears before a loud scream is heard, and before they can understand what is happening, a malevolent spirit appears, forcing them to flee into another room. However, the spirit also reaches that room. By mistake, they turn on the X-ray machine, which causes the spirit to disappear. Ben realizes that Tobias covered his ears before the sound and deduces that he knows something. When he asks him, Tobias reveals that the figure was the Queen of Screams, and that she came because of the loneliness of the place. One of the people present believes that everything is a hallucination, but the others disagree, since they cannot all be seeing the same thing at the same time. Overwhelmed, he decides to leave, but when he reaches the elevator, he notices that his watch has stopped. Then the elevator floor begins to shake. He tries to get out, but the elevator doors close and he screams for help. Ben and Rick try to help him, and suddenly a monster begins to emerge from the broken floor of the elevator. Rick hits it with a cylinder, and the monster retreats. Meanwhile, Tobias tries to shoot himself and says that it is better to die, to which Sarah assures him that she promises that he will die. Emily takes the gun away from Tobias and notices that his hand is extremely cold, as if he were dead. When Rick and Ben try to pull the man out of the elevator, the monster reappears and grabs him by the leg, but they manage to save him with difficulty. Afterwards, Emily puts a bandage on the man's injured leg. Everyone heads to the 3rd floor, but when they arrive, they see that the exit door is blocked. Rick and Ben try to clear the exit, but suddenly they hear something breaking from above. The group quickly reaches the 3rd floor, where Emily sees the corpse of one of her friends, which deeply saddens her. Tobias notices a recorder in the corpse's hand, and when he plays it, a voice is heard saying that if they want to escape from there, they must leave the girl behind. They decide to ignore the warning and move on. They reach a room where they find many corpses scattered around. Before they can process it, the monster appears and attacks them. Everyone runs away, but Tobias stays behind. Rick tries to shoot the monster to kill it, but ends up being killed by it. The survivors reach a lobby where one of the men suggests that they should leave Sarah there. This enrages Ben, who refuses to be separated from his daughter under any circumstances. Then they look out the window and notice that there is no kind of movement in the city. Everything outside seems frozen in time. Suddenly, they hear a voice over the emergency radio, which turns out to be Emily's. She suggests that perhaps they are trapped in another dimension, like a parallel world. Sarah's health begins to deteriorate, and Ben asks the man to take care of her while he goes with Emily in search of medication. During this search, Emily reveals to Ben that Sarah spoke with Tobias when he was not there, although she could not understand what she was saying. She also tells him that when she touched Tobias's hand, she felt that it was as cold as a corpse. Emily tries to convince Ben that Sarah can see things that they cannot see in that place. They then find a skeleton surrounded by sand. Meanwhile, the man takes Sarah and tells her to stay so that he can leave the place. Tobias appears behind him, trying to stop him. At the same time, Ben and Emily enter another room and find 2 more skeletons. Ben begins to consider that all of this would only stop if they left Sarah for the monster to take. Tobias contacts Ben through the walkie-talkie, warning him that the man is about to leave Sarah with the monster. The man hits Tobias and discovers that his body was already dead. When the man finally pushes Sarah forward, a sandstorm emerges, and from it a monster appears that rips the man's heart out, killing him. Ben and Emily arrive at that moment, and Ben pushes the monster out of the window using a bed. Upon seeing Tobias's corpse, Emily discovers that he had died a week earlier. After this, they take Sarah to the 2nd floor, where they also find numerous corpses. They search for medication for Sarah, but she disappears, which makes them desperate, and they begin to look for her everywhere. During the search, Emily encounters a monster, which she manages to drive away with an electric shock. Meanwhile, Ben arrives in a very brightly lit room full of people, although he cannot touch them or communicate with them. When he leaves, he finds Sarah, but just as he approaches her, a monster attacks him. Tobias appears and kills the monster. Ben reunites with Sarah, who tells him that this must end, although he does not understand what she means. Emily also arrives, and they all take refuge in an elevator as the monster approaches, but they manage to close the doors in time. The elevator takes them to the basement, where they are attacked by the Queen of Screams. Sarah stares at her, and by doing so, the Queen disappears. Emily is injured, so Ben places her in a wheelchair and guides both of them out of the place. As they move forward, the corpses begin to come back to life. Ben asks Emily to give Sarah the medication, but when he sees the corpses approaching, he decides to flee with Sarah, leaving Emily trapped. Ben tries to open the door but fails, and the corpses end up killing Emily. Sarah warns that he is coming, and Ben takes her to an ambulance, trying to escape. During the escape, Sarah tells him that a shadow is following them, and when Ben looks back, he sees that the shadow turns into a monster that begins to chase them. Sarah says that whatever has to happen will happen. Desperate, Ben asks her to do it if she knows how to stop it. He then decides to stop the ambulance, hides Sarah, and rushes toward the monster at full speed. Suddenly, a bright light appears, revealing Sarah with her body completely illuminated. Ben, shocked, sees how a spirit possesses him and kills him. Then, the spirit approaches Sarah, who tells it that everything must end there because she wants to go home. The scene fades to white, and Sarah is shown once again in the CT scan machine at the hospital, where she begins to scream. Ben takes her out, and she asks for a blue crayon, beginning to make strange drawings once again. Tobias appears and tells Sarah that she now feels better, thus ending the movie.